Hello everybody, we're on to chapter 6, the test. I don't know who hates parent-teacher interviews more, the kids because we're worried about what our teachers might say to our parents that will get us into trouble, the teachers because they're worried about what they might say that will get themselves into trouble, or the parents who have heard it all before and resign themselves to the fact that they're not raising the next Einstein. Even the custodians hate parent-teacher interviews because they've got to spend dozens of extra hours making sure the school is spotless and shining. It was the day of parent-teacher interviews at Danglemore Public School. Interviews were set to begin right after school, and our class had spent the last period of the day tidying up the room so that our parents would think it was always neat. Everyone had a job to do. Paulo had to wash the blackboards, Gordon had to clean out the hamster cage, and I had to empty the garbage cans. We all had to clean out our desks and wash the tops, a chore which took Gordon quite a while because his desk was especially cluttered. When the bell rang at the end of the day, we were all happy to go home and get some rest. Man, those garbage cans really stink, I complained. Well, cleaning the blackboards is no fun either, grumbled Paulo. And that hamster cage, began Gordon, his voice trailing off. Oh no, he moaned. Mrs. H is gonna kill me. I forgot to clean out the hamster cage. Well, there's my bus, said Paulo. I gotta go. Sorry about your luck, Gordon. And with that, Paulo quickly climbed aboard the waiting bus. Come on, said Gordon, grabbing me by the arm. We've got to go back and clean that cage. What do you mean, we? You're the one who forgot. I did my job. It'll be faster with two of us, Gordon insisted. Besides, Mrs. Hogberts likes you. She won't be so mad if she sees you with me. I sighed and followed Gordon back into the school. The halls were deserted. We made our way to the second floor and peered into our classroom. It too was empty. Whew. We're in luck. She's not here. Let's get this over with and get out before she even knows I forgot. Gordon quickly set to work cleaning the hamster's cage. And then it happened. Just as he was putting the hamster back into the clean cage, we heard our teacher's voice in the hall and froze. She was laughing and talking to some parents and coming closer every second. Quick, hide, hissed Gordon. Where? I asked, looking round the room. Under there, ordered Gordon, pushing me under the teacher's big wooden desk, just as Mrs. Hogsworth and two parents entered the room. Oh no, mouthed Gordon, as we both recognized his parents' voices. Mr. and Mrs. Smith sat down in front of the teacher's desk, and our teacher perched on top facing them. We could see her shoes and ankles dangling just inches from our faces. Well, began Mrs. Hogsworth, I like to start every interview off on a positive note. I'm pleased to tell you that your son is a very honest boy. With marks as low as his, I know he's not cheating. Gordon scowled as the three adults chuckled. As the interview continued, my legs began to cramp up, but I didn't dare move, and I prayed that Mrs. Hogsworth stayed where she was too. Although Gordon's grades are average, I really feel that he is a very bright student. If he just paid more attention in class and completed his homework, assignments on time, I believe he could get top marks. He's got a great deal of potential. In fact, Gordon may be one of the brightest students I've taught in 25 years. With your permission, I'd like Gordon to take a test to determine just how smart he really is. There are special classes that would challenge him and help him live up to his true potential. Judging by the silence in the room, Mr. and Mrs. Smith didn't know what to make of this news. Was Mrs. Hogsworth serious? I glanced at Gordon. Could he really be a genius? Well, said Mrs. Smith, at last, I think it would be good for Gordon to take that test. I agree, said his father, a note of pride in his voice. Under the desk, Gordon's face fell. Clearly, he did not think that the test would be good for him. When the interview was finally over and the adults had left the room, Gordon and I crawled stiffly out from under the desk. I'm not taking that test, said Gordon firmly, stamping his foot to wake it up. If they find out I'm smart, they'll just make me work twice as hard. I'm happy being average, thank you very much. We snuck out of the building and rode our bikes over to Paulo's house to tell him what we had overheard. And I always thought you were the smart one, I said to Paulo. Who would have thought it would turn out to be Gordon? Hey, said Gordon, insulted. Anyway, Paulo can go right on being the smart one. I'm going to fail that test on purpose. Did you hear what Mrs. H said about special classes and working harder? I don't even want to do half the work she assigns now. A few days later, Gordon was pulled out of class and sent to the library to take the special test. He was gone for quite a while, and I kept glancing at Paulo the whole time. I'll bet Gordon's having fun trying to fail the test on purpose, I said at recess. When we filed back into class after the bell rang, Gordon was sitting in his desk. He turned and gave us the thumbs up with a big smile. There's no way anyone will think I'm a genius now, he said with dissatisfaction after that school day. We were sitting in my tree fort and Gordon was telling us about the test. I knew most of the answers, so maybe Mrs. H was right, and I am a genius, but I made sure I failed that test good. Extra work, special classes, what was she thinking? 2 days later, Mrs. Hogsworth called Gordon's parents for a special meeting to discuss the test. I'm really surprised, she told them. I was certain that he was a lot smarter than his marks in class indicate. But well, see for yourself. She passed Gordon's test paper across her desk. Mrs. Smith gasped when she saw the grade. Mr. Smith cleared his throat. Neither one said a word as they stared at the big red F at the top of the page. I guess I was wrong about Gordon being so clever, said Mrs. Hogsworth. It's obvious he had some real difficulties with this test. He had trouble answering even the most basic question. The teacher cleared her throat and said, what I'm recommending is that Gordon be given some extra work and special help before school, at recess, and after school, plus perhaps a tutor on Saturday mornings until we get him caught up to where he should be. I'm sure that with a lot of extra work, Gordon can catch up in just a few months. Of course, said Mrs. Smith, we'll do whatever it takes to help our son, even if it means sending him to summer school. And that's the end of chapter 6.